Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. My name is Lukas, and last year it was actually 10 years since I first came here to Taiwan, a country which I now have had the honor to call my home for 8 years. So starting from this year, in addition to the Exploring Taiwan and the Taiwanese news videos, I also want to share some personal experiences, how it actually is living in Taiwan from a foreigner's perspective. I'm gonna spare no detail, and in this video I'm gonna talk about my morning routine, how I'm living the life of my dreams here in Taiwan, and also share how I'm behaving in bed. And we're gonna start from the top and work our way down, which I guarantee you has nothing to do with how I'm behaving in bed. Number one on my list is something that I think about every single day I live here in Taiwan, and that is freedom. And I can honestly say that my life here in Taiwan is so much freer than I ever had it back home in Sweden. Now, I'm not saying that Sweden is not a free country. Sweden is actually very, very free, both in terms of nature and society. But when it comes to my personal life, my life here in Taiwan is so much more freer and more spontaneous compared to my life in Sweden. First of all, my mom is not here telling me how to live my life. Second, the life in Sweden is a lot more structured and it's a lot more routine. For example, you work 8 to 5. After 5, you will head pretty much straight home. Maybe you have a hobby or try to go to the gym for some workout. Then you will go home, cook yourself some dinner, which will also turn into tomorrow's lunch. And then, especially during the winter months, you will pretty much go to sleep right away because it's 10 p.m., it's dark, cold, and there's nothing else to do anyway. Whereas here in Taiwan, I live in the middle of Taipei, so I literally have a 3 million people city just outside my door with endless of possibilities, including waterfalls, beaches, mountains, volcanoes, shopping malls, temples, did I say volcanoes? And literally just everything in between, more or less just outside my door. Maybe my life would be a little bit more free and more spontaneous if I grew up in a Swedish city, but I actually moved to Taiwan more or less straight from the Swedish forest, so that is definitely one way my life has changed after moving here to Taiwan. Another way in how I have changed after moving to Taiwan is that I no longer cook food. Truth be told, I wasn't really a Michelin star back home in Sweden either, but during my 8 years here in Taiwan, I think I maybe cooked my own food 5 or maybe 10 times tops, just because I felt like it. Here in Taiwan, eating at a restaurant is very, very cheap, especially if you want to have Taiwanese or Asian food, and if you want to go and check out a night market, it's even cheaper. And based on the fact that I personally only know how to cook Western food myself, it's actually cheaper for me to go to a night market to buy Taiwanese or Asian food than trying to cook Western food myself. Let's just that sink in for a while. Just imagine how much time I have saved during these 8 years living here in Taiwan simply by not having to cook food. Now this is time I can spend on exploring all the waterfalls, beaches, mountains, volcanoes, shopping malls, temples, did I say volcanoes, and everything in between, which just adds to this incredible freedom feeling of living here in Taiwan. And once you have let that sink in, something that is not in the sink is the 8 years of dishes I also haven't had to do simply because I do not cook here in Taiwan, and that also adds to that freedom feeling, gives me so much more time to check out all the waterfalls, beaches, mountains. Yeah, you get it by now. Next thing on my list is that I actually, by living here in Taiwan, have the opportunity to be living my dream. Now, I know what most of you want to hear, but I have to be honest here, and living in Taiwan wasn't actually the dream I'm talking about. Instead, having this opportunity to be making these videos for you guys week after week is actually a dream coming true, and that is something that I guarantee you I would not have had the opportunity to do if I was still be living back home in Sweden. Now, this is something that I will make a dedicated video about in the future because this actually deserves its own story. But when I was in high school, our teacher asked us to come up with our dream job. Could just be anything that you want to do. And then 15-year-old Lukas Engström, he made up the title PPPP, which was Professional PowerPoint Presenter. Now, I know I'm not spending my weeks making professional PowerPoint presentations for you, but I think that with the new era of digital media, then these YouTube videos is much better than any kind of PowerPoint presentation that I could come up with when I was 15 years old. And I cannot believe that I'm actually in this fortunate position to be making these videos week after week, and that you guys keep watching, keep liking it, and just keep encouraging me to make more and more videos. But I think for now, before I get too emotional and start crying here, we will move on with the next point on my list and save those tears for a future video on this channel. So if that is something you want to hear more about, about, please do hit that subscribe button and that bell to get notified as soon as I release that video. We're gonna move over to the next point on the list, which is how I behave in bed. Now, I know what you think. And you are right actually, because we're gonna talk about me not wearing any clothes in bed. But it's not what you think, because I am actually the one trying to wear my clothes in bed, whereas other people who might be in my bedroom for various reasons insisting on me doing something else with my clothes. Okay, I feel like this deserves a little bit more explanation, especially for the foreign viewers here, but basically, long story short, here in Taiwan, it is more or less forbidden to wear any outdoor clothes while lying or sitting on the bed. Only thing you have to remember is that the outside is dirty and the bed is the absolute cleanest thing there is. I think this is actually included in the Taiwan constitution even. I think it goes something like, "Thou shall never follow any traffic regulations, thou shall never drink cold water, and thou shall never wear any clothes in any bed, ever." Okay, moving on, and before we get into too much detail about these bed habits, we of course need to take a shower. Now, the only reason for why thou shall shower at night is not part of the Taiwan constitution is simply because it is not needed. Showering at night is so obvious here in Taiwan. It is just as normal as breathing or drinking warm water on an even warmer summer day. But if you're from Sweden, where you worry more about freezing to death during the winter than sweating during the summer, you don't really have the habit of showering every single night before going to bed. We prefer to shower in the mornings, so you're fresh and awake before you go to work, before you're meeting your colleagues or friends. So I have to admit that my routine is actually to still take a shower every single morning, but I do take those night showers as well on top of my morning showers, especially for those times when you do have those visitors coming into your bedroom as well. And for anyone who is thinking about some clever, genuine comments to leave in the comment section for later, you should all know that he has his own shower and his own bed. And then the next, actually also bed-related change I made here in Taiwan. How did this video become a 10-minute video where I'm talking about all my different bed habits here in Taiwan? Anyway, my point is that I have switched from a morning person to a night person. In Sweden, I had to wake up before 6 a.m. because it took me around 90 minutes each day to go to school for that 8 a.m. class. Whereas here in Taiwan, it's around a 30-minute commute anywhere in Taipei, and the classes doesn't really start until 9 or 10 a.m. And then after work or school, as I mentioned, in Sweden it's all very structured. You will always try to go home, maybe take a stop with some hobbies or some workouts in between, then you will go home, make your food, go to sleep, and then back up early and just start over all over again. Whereas here in Taiwan, with the night market culture, there are actually a lot of things that you can do after work, even after it's completely dark. So normally you wouldn't even come home until like 9 or 10 p.m. Then you have a couple of more hours where you can maybe hang out, watch a movie, just as long as you don't decide to start your own YouTube channel, because then you will be spending every single minute of every free day just editing these videos week after week. Before you go to bed, make sure to take off all your clothes and then fall asleep around 1 or maybe even 2 a.m. And I know that this is true not only for me, because I have asked a lot of my other international friends as well who has moved to Taiwan and then become night persons after living here for a while. And this is actually one of the other things on how I've changed here in Taiwan, and it's actually one of the things I don't realize myself, but now when I think about it, it's actually one of the things that I appreciate most of living here in Taiwan, and that is that I now have friends from literally all over the world. When I lived in Sweden, 99% of all my friends were from Sweden as well. Now, after living in Taiwan for 8 years, my best friend is from France, my other friends are from Canada, US, UK, from all over Europe, from all over Asia, from all over the world. And I know that a lot of you people might disagree, and you will say that if you do decide to move to Taiwan, you should only try to get Taiwanese friends because this is the best way to immerse yourself into the Taiwanese culture. I have to actually disagree, because for me, moving here to Taiwan and getting this entire network of all international friends have not only allowed me to discover Taiwan, but also to discover the world. And speaking about discovering Taiwan, if you have followed my channel for a while, then you know that I am a huge fan of riding a scooter and motorcycle. But this is actually something that I discovered here in Taiwan. In Sweden, I did have a 50cc scooter growing up during the summers, but because we have winter with snow and icy roads, we don't really have this scooter or motorcycle culture at all. Whereas here in Taiwan, you use your scooter for pretty much anything to transport your entire family to even parts of your house from one place to another. But if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet and you have no idea how much I love scooters and motorcycles, then please do take the time to hit that button and that bell as well to get notified as soon as I release new motorcycle videos where I go out exploring Taiwan and see what else Taiwan has to offer. Okay, that was it. That was my top list of ways I have changed after living here in Taiwan. But something that has not changed is how much I enjoy making these videos week after week. And I hope that you enjoy watching them as well. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is Lukas. Starts with L as in like, ends with S as in subscribe. Please do both and see you all in the next one.